Hey everybody, this is Mike with ComicWow.com, and I got my buddy Kevin here, who also works for ComicWow.com. And we were talking, and we were like, we need to talk about all these new shows about comics that are currently on right now. I mean, we got Gotham, we got The Flash, we got S.H.I.E.L.D., we got Arrow. In the future, we got iZombie, we got Constantine. So we're going to talk about the ones that were on this week. And we're going to start with Gotham. And I'm going to let Kevin talk because, you know, it hurts me to talk about Gotham, so we'll let him talk first.
I don't understand why it hurts you to talk about Gotham. Gotham's pretty awesome. I'm interested to see what happens later on in this series and how it develops. The whole idea of Gotham is the city having its own feel, tone, how things happen there, and the backstories that are being generated about the Batman universe before Batman was Batman. I think it's an interesting take on a show in and of itself, but I also like the character development that's coming up, and especially the focus on Jim Gordon. You know,
I mean, the concept's there. I mean,
yeah.
I'll give you that. The concept's definitely there with Gotham. I mean, right now you have the Penguin, who's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, he's just killing it every single week.
Scabby.
It should be called Penguin Begins. If it was Penguin Begins, I would be on that show every single week. But the problem is, it's called Gotham. Okay, and we've got little Bruce Wayne burning his hand. Oh, I'm not afraid of stuff. And, you know, his awesome...
He's testing himself.
He's testing Alfred's last nerve is what he's doing.
Alfred's awesome.
Alfred is amazing. Alfred just needs to, like, use a stiffer hand. I'm sorry, I don't want to be that guy. But, you know... I don't want to be a hater of Gotham. I usually give a show 3 weeks before I'm like, I'm done. Well, and I'm kind of at that point now. It's
first season. They got to find their way. They're trying to shove everything down everybody's throat to try and get the viewers that aren't familiar with the concepts in on it and get them to dig in. The Selina Kyle angle, while she may be kind of around the wrong age, because in the comics she's a little bit younger than Batman, is a nice angle. I like how it's fitting in. I want to see how it develops. It's interesting to see the play that they're doing with the characters that normally maybe you wouldn't see these types of interactions with through the books, where you wonder, hey, where did that come from? Why is that? I mean, this is part of standalone, kind of, but at the same time, they're pulling from the Batman mythos to make something that people are going to say, hey, you know what? This is actually pretty badass, and we want to see what happens next season. So let them find their footing this season. I figure, you know, in order to get the voice and the tone and the time and everything right, they probably are about 5 episodes in before that all syncs up perfectly. So, you know, just as a point in fact, those are highly trained Gotham Police Department officers in Jim Gordon and Harvey Bullock.
Well, what did you like about this week's episode?
I like that Bullock didn't bother to shoot the balloon faster. He's a highly trained police officer who's been on the force for the years to know the ins and outs and how to do his dirty work. His counterpoint in Jim Gordon being able to take that and be the choir boy of everything, stepping in and still towing that line. I'm interested to see what kind of drama develops out of that. The police department in and of itself has its own dramatic thread because there's so much corruption going on, and for Jim Gordon to kind of put a light on that, I think is going to help develop the show as well. I think that creates some good tension, and Harvey Bullock in the comics and in the animated series, okay, you got more of an idea that he was more of a roughneck. I think that the actor playing him is actually doing a great job doing that. Okay, Donald Logue, awesome.
Oh yeah, he's.
You know.
I mean, he's fantastic in pretty much everything he does, and the casting's perfect. That's the thing; it's got so much potential, and I want it to be so much better than it is. I'm going to give it a couple more episodes, but
I think you should.
We could talk about this all day. We're going to go to S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay,
another show that needed to blossom after the years. Different show this season. I mean, we'll talk about last night's episode in particular. You know, we got, you know, I like to call him Ice Boy from last season, you know, super smart Ice Kid, you know, and he's running rampant. He's the villain of the week.
Right. Although you mentioned villain of the week, I feel like they're not inserting it as villain of the week as much as it is a natural progression through this Hydra takeover of S.H.I.E.L.D. to reacquire the assets that S.H.I.E.L.D. needs to be competitive against Hydra and trying to get to them first, kind of like in the X-Men where, you know, Professor X was like, oh, we need to identify these people and go get them. I think it's more that kind of tack they're taking, and because of that, I think that you're going to see more characters develop
Yeah.
But I also think it's going to be better for the show because what's going to happen is you're going to see all these people picked out of the Marvel Universe that you wouldn't normally get to see maybe in the movies. And because they tie into the movies with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think it's going to be a nice development over this season because they finally found their footing.
I would say this particular week we got to see some growth in Skye, which made me really happy. You got to see, her relationship with May grow that much more. You got to see, what's been going on with the other scientist, who's been MIA, but kind of like in...
Fitz's partner who's undercover.
Yeah, undercover.
Yeah,
Make
nice.
things happen.
Yeah, no, I also thought that the comedy aspect of the show this week was really good because a lot of that comedy came from Agent May, which prior to this season, she hasn't actually had the opportunity to blossom and show off her comedic talents. I have to say that that's really cool because her drop-dead, deadpan, sarcastic answers to things make me laugh my ass off.
So wait a minute, you actually had a favorite part that you were telling me about. If you didn't watch it last night, I apologize.
Spoiler alert.
It's not a huge spoiler, but spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Hold your ears for about 2, 3, maybe even 10 seconds. Tell them your part that was like it really was a good part last night when our boy goes downstairs and makes a little discovery and.
Oh, the discovery with Fitz finding out all about Ward being downstairs. Yeah. That was actually great because I think that the way they portrayed that with Fitz and his absolute surprise over the person that almost killed him and caused his current condition to actually be there in the facility and has been hidden from him, it created a lot of dramatic tension, created a lot of angles that you could run from with that, and the whole idea that Fitz might now be this loose cannon instead of this straight-laced science boy, okay, that might end up killing Ward, major badass from Hydra. This makes me happy because, kick it up a notch and let him get in there and do some stuff. Even if it is cutting off some guy's oxygen to give him the hypoxia that caused the brain damage that Fitz is now dealing with. I think it was a nice angle. I think it tied up a good end, and I think it really allows for that tension within the facility that Coulson has to manage at all times as the director, because does he know things? Hell yeah, he knows a lot of things, but you might not know them yet. And that was a nice reveal for me. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, S.H.I.E.L.D's actually doing a lot better this season. It's building upon some of the groundwork from the second half of last season. Because, I'm at fault a little bit. I mean, the first half of S.H.I.E.L.D. was not great, but the second half was great, and I'm glad it's on its path. Now we're switching paths to the Scarlet Speedster himself on the CW. CW's killing it on the superhero front.
Yeah.
We can't talk about Arrow because it's actually Wednesday. We're talking about Arrow next week because we're going to New York Comic Con. Well, he's going to New York Comic Con, so be sure to find him somewhere.
See you there.
But we're going to talk about the premiere of Flash last night, where you just see a very, very short introduction of his origin, which was great. They just touched on it and just said, no, okay, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this.
Yeah, I have to say that part was good. What was nice about that is that, they kept it within the mythos of the Flash and how he was developed, and they made it true to the comics, which I really appreciated as a fanboy, because you see all these people taking liberties with things, which they kind of do in Gotham, just as a back reference there, which they have to. And that's understood. But with the Flash, they have open palette to do what they want, and they stuck with the comics on this for the most part. And I thought that was great. And it was very quick the way it happened, no pun intended. But they didn't spend a lot of time on it, which I thought was nice. Yeah. It's like, okay, this happened. You guys have seen superhero shows. You know what's going on. This happened. Okay, get over it. This is what's going to happen next.
But it was a lot of fun. I mean, you weren't bored throughout the whole thing. It was like a mini movie of sorts.
Fast-paced.
Yes, fast-paced. But there was Easter eggs everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you got his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Your Twitter follower.
Oh yes. No, he's not my Twitter follower.
He is.
He doesn't. He doesn't follow.
You follow him?
No.
That's not the same.
No, I'm kidding. Anyway, John Wesley Shipp.
Yeah, John Wesley Shipp.
That's right. Big shout out to John Wesley Shipp. Hey, we remember you from the first Flash, and mad props to you.
That show was awesome.
Also remember you as Dawson's dad on Dawson's Creek.
So it seems like the Flash could be awesome on any kind of TV program.
True.
Because even the smaller characters, I don't want to say smaller characters, the co-stars that are in the show, great casting. I mean, even the younger characters are not irritating. They're not nerve grating. You know, I mean, it's a CW show, so you got to have the angst and the tension.
But I think it works. I think it works
does.
in this environment, and what you don't have is the gravitas and the seriousness that kind of surrounds Arrow in the tone, which is good for Arrow. But for the Flash, it's a little more lighthearted, which I think speaks volumes to the difference in the two cities the heroes are in. But I also think it plays better for the Flash. And I also like the fact that, let's talk about special effects. Special effects wise, okay? Speed Force looks good.
Yeah.
Looks real good.
Yeah.
The use of how Barry uses his powers, very believable. And it doesn't seem to have any lags in it, which I found, you know, on the small screen, usually you have an issue with that type of thing, but I guess CGI has gotten to the point where we could do stuff like this and you'd never even notice. It's very serious.
I really do hope that the production values do hold up throughout the season. I mean, it is the pilot, so they put a little extra money into that, so, you know, that's my hope.
Well, I also think that it looks better than when they did it on Smallville, when they had the Flash on Smallville. Yeah. I think that that was kind of a starting point maybe in looking at it, but I think they've done such a better job. As far as powers go, villains, you got to see some Easter eggs and some outright things regarding the Flash's Rogues Gallery, which was great, and some of the other villains that he faces that we'll find out over the season how that develops. I'm really looking forward to this show. I think they've got an awesome starting point, and having Arrow step in for a cameo and throw some of Barry's advice back at him about wearing a mask, it's a nice tie-in and a nice tie-up for that end in Arrow when Barry left. Under the circumstances that he did. I think that's nice that they're tying the shows together, and I think that they have a really great idea in these properties of being able to create a whole universe that will be cohesive, whereas we really haven't seen that in some of the other superhero TV shows because there wasn't a lot of crossover action. We really haven't had this opportunity in a long time to do this, and I think they're doing it the right way.
And we're very, very lucky, and that's why we decided to start this show on ComicWow.com. And it's our first one when it comes to comics on TV right now, because we have so many shows coming out week to week. We only got to cover on these 3 this week, but next week, please tune in. We're going to have Arrow attached to that, okay? And go to your comment section below. Tell us what you want to hear from us. Ask questions about the show so we can bring it up here on the air and we can answer them for you. But, you know, sign up for ComicWow.com, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, follow us on, like us on Facebook, and I'll see you, ComicWow.com.
Yep. See you later. Thanks.